There comes a moment in life when the body stops responding to effort alone, when discipline is no longer enough, when willpower meets biology, and biology quietly wins, unless you understand the rules it's playing by. Aging is not just the passing of years, it is a gradual loss of cellular communication. Signals weaken, energy falters, repair slows, and one of the earliest places this breakdown begins is in something so ordinary, so overlooked, it feels almost insulting to name it: hydration. Water, in its purest form, has been praised like a miracle. Drink more water, stay hydrated, flush the system. But the human body is not a glass jar you rinse clean. It is an electrical, mineral-driven, signal-dependent organism. And with age, plain water alone often stops doing what people think it does. Not because water is bad, but because the aging body no longer knows how to use it efficiently. Inside every cell, life runs on gradients. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, ions moving across membranes, generating electricity, fueling muscle contraction, nerve transmission, mitochondrial respiration. Hydration is not about volume, it's about delivery. When you drink plain water without the minerals that allow it to be absorbed and retained, much of it simply passes through. The thirst returns, the fatigue lingers, the cells remain underpowered. This is where aging quietly accelerates. Dehydrated cells shrink, mitochondria lose efficiency, blood volume drops, the heart works harder, the brain fog thickens, joints stiffen, and the signal that tells your body, "We are safe, we are resourced, we can repair," never fully arrives. The body interprets chronic underhydration as stress, not dramatic stress, subtle, grinding stress, the kind that raises cortisol just enough to interfere with sleep, insulin sensitivity, and immune resilience. Over time, this stress ages you from the inside out. And here is the shift. Simple, almost embarrassingly so, but profoundly biological. Water must carry information. Minerals are not additives, they are instructions. They tell your cells how to absorb, where to send, and when to hold on. Without them, water is noise. With them, water becomes a signal. Sodium, long demonized, is not the enemy of longevity when used intelligently. It is essential for blood pressure regulation, nerve conduction, and cellular hydration. Potassium counters it, maintaining balance, protecting the heart. Magnesium calms the nervous system, stabilizes ATP, and supports over 300 enzymatic reactions, many of which decline with age. These minerals decline in modern diets, especially in seniors whose appetites change and whose absorption efficiency weakens. Add minerals back, and something remarkable happens. The body remembers how to hydrate. Muscles feel fuller. Energy stabilizes. Dizziness fades. Morning stiffness loosens its grip. Even cognition sharpens because neurons, those energy-hungry cells, finally receive what they need to fire cleanly.
This is not about sports drinks or sugar-laced solutions. Glucose spikes sabotage mitochondrial health and accelerate glycation, one of the molecular hallmarks of aging. This is about clean electrolytes, trace minerals, a pinch of unrefined salt, magnesium dissolved into daily rhythm. Not excess, precision. Precision is the theme of longevity. Aging is not chaos, it is mismanagement. The wrong inputs at the wrong times for too long. Fix the inputs, and biology responds, at any age. Inside your cells live proteins called sirtuins. They are guardians of youth, regulators of DNA repair, inflammation, and metabolic efficiency. They do not activate in abundance when resources are sloppy. They respond to clarity, to signals of scarcity followed by nourishment, to stress followed by recovery. Proper hydration, mineralized, intentional, creates the internal environment where these systems wake up again. The mitochondria, those ancient bacterial ancestors living inside you, are exquisitely sensitive to hydration and mineral balance. Their membranes depend on electrical gradients. Disrupt those gradients, and energy production stalls. Restore them, and ATP flows again. Not like youth, but like resilience. And resilience is the currency of long life. This is why so many seniors feel tired despite doing everything right, walking daily, eating reasonably, drinking water faithfully. Yet something still feels off. It's not motivation, it's missing instructions. Aging does not mean decline is inevitable. It means the margin for error shrinks. The body demands higher quality signals, cleaner inputs, more respect for timing, composition, and context. Hydration is not the foundation of health, but it is the gatekeeper. And when you change what your water carries, you change what your cells believe about the world they live in. They believe there is enough to repair, enough to adapt, enough to keep going. And when cells believe that, aging begins to slow, not as a miracle, not as a promise, but as a measurable biological shift that unfolds quietly, day by day, molecule by molecule, as the body starts listening again. And once the cells begin to listen again, a deeper truth reveals itself. Aging was never a single switch flipping off. It is 1,000 systems losing rhythm. Hydration, when done correctly, restores rhythm first, because water touches everything. Blood becomes less viscous, delivering oxygen with less resistance. The heart no longer has to shout to be heard. The kidneys, those quiet regulators of longevity, finally receive the signal that the environment is stable, allowing hormones like aldosterone and vasopressin to settle into balance. Stability is youth's hidden language.
From that stability, metabolism recalibrates. Glucose control improves, not because sugar vanished, but because cells are no longer desperate. Insulin sensitivity returns when the cell membrane regains its electrical integrity. Minerals stabilize that membrane. Magnesium unlocks ATP. Potassium maintains polarity. Sodium preserves volume. This is not supplementation for the sake of numbers on a bottle. It is architecture. You are rebuilding the electrical grid of your body. And when that grid stabilizes, something extraordinary happens. Stress transforms. The right kind of stress no longer breaks you, it trains you. This is hormesis, the biological principle that small, controlled challenges make systems stronger. Cold exposure, heat, exercise, fasting. These stressors only work when the body has the raw materials to respond. Without minerals, without proper hydration, hormesis becomes harm. With them, it becomes a switch. Fasting, for example, is not starvation, it is instruction. It tells your cells to clean house, to activate autophagy, to recycle damaged proteins, to conserve energy for what matters. But fasting depletes electrolytes. Seniors who fast without mineral support often feel weak, dizzy, discouraged. The biology was willing, the infrastructure was not. Add minerals back in, and fasting becomes focused instead of draining. Mental clarity rises, inflammation falls. The body learns flexibility again, the ability to switch fuels, to endure absence, to recover with grace. Exercise follows the same rule. Movement is not about burning calories, it is about sending messages to your genes. Every muscle contraction releases myokines, chemical signals that tell your body to build mitochondria, strengthen bones, sharpen insulin response. But muscles require hydration to contract efficiently. Dehydrated muscle fibers fatigue early, produce more oxidative stress, and recover slowly.
Proper hydration doesn't just let you move, it lets movement change you. And sleep is where the body decides whether tomorrow is worth repairing for. During deep sleep, growth hormone pulses, the brain flushes metabolic waste, DNA repair accelerates. But dehydration fragments sleep. It raises nighttime heart rate, it triggers cortisol spikes that pull you out of deep stages. Seniors often blame age for poor sleep, when the body is simply asking for balance. Minerals calm the nervous system. Magnesium deepens slow-wave sleep. Sodium prevents nocturnal drops in blood pressure that wake you in panic. Hydration becomes permission to rest. Light, too, enters the equation. Morning sunlight sets the circadian clock, aligning cortisol and melatonin, tuning metabolism to the day. Hydration affects this rhythm more than people realize. Blood volume influences how hormones circulate. When hydration is poor, signals arrive late, distorted. Time itself feels off inside the body. Restore hydration and the clock steadies. Appetite normalizes. Energy peaks when it should. Aging slows not because time stopped, but because timing improved.
This is what modern longevity science keeps circling back to: control. Not control in the sense of domination, but in coherence. Systems speaking the same language again. The body is not fragile. It is adaptive beyond imagination, but adaptation requires accurate feedback. Minerals sharpen that feedback. Water delivers it. There is also identity in this process. When you choose precision over habit, intention over autopilot, you are no longer a passive recipient of age. You become an active participant in your biology. This changes how stress is perceived. Challenges feel purposeful. Discipline stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like alignment. The nervous system senses agency, and agency itself is anti-aging. Inflammation quiets when the body feels resourced. Immune cells stop overreacting. Joints swell less. Skin regains elasticity because collagen fibers finally hold water properly. Even mood shifts. Dehydration is linked to anxiety and irritability because the brain is exquisitely sensitive to volume and electrolytes. Restore them, and emotional resilience rises. Not artificial optimism, stability. None of this is magic. It is measurable. Blood markers improve. Resting heart rate lowers. Variability increases. Grip strength returns. These are not aesthetics. They are survival metrics. Aging is often described as loss, but at its core, it is miscommunication. Water, when intelligently composed, becomes a translator between intention and biology. It carries the message that the environment is predictable, that repair is worth the energy, that tomorrow is not a threat. And when the body receives that message consistently, something profound settles in. Not youth as it once was, but a quieter strength. A confidence written into cells that remember how to adapt, how to endure, how to regenerate just enough to keep going with clarity and purpose. That clarity is the final frontier of longevity. Not the absence of challenge, not the illusion of eternal youth, but the ability to meet time without confusion. When the body is properly hydrated, mineralized, and informed, it stops mistaking normal life for an emergency. And this is where aging truly changes course. Because most decline is not caused by damage alone. It is caused by overreaction. Inflammation that lingers too long, stress hormones that stay elevated after the threat has passed, immune responses that attack the wrong targets. The aging body becomes jumpy, defensive, hypervigilant. It loses trust in its environment. Hydration in its intelligent form restores that trust at a cellular level. Blood becomes a better messenger. Oxygen delivery improves. Carbon dioxide removal stabilizes pH. Enzymes regain their shape and speed. Even the extracellular matrix, the scaffolding that holds tissues together, regains hydration, allowing cells to communicate mechanically as well as chemically.
This is how posture improves, how balance returns, how falls become less frequent not through caution but through coordination. The brain feels this first. Neurons depend on electrochemical gradients. When those gradients are unstable, thought becomes effort. Memory retrieval slows. Focus fractures. Seniors are often told this is inevitable. It is not. The brain is plastic well into old age, but only when its environment is supportive. Mineral balance restores signal-to-noise ratio. Thoughts sharpen not because intelligence increased, but because interference decreased. And with mental clarity comes purpose. Purpose is not motivational poetry, it is biology. People with a sense of meaning show lower inflammatory markers, better immune surveillance, longer telomeres. The body invests in what it believes will be used. When you live with intention, your biology allocates resources differently. Hydration supports this by stabilizing mood, energy, and cognition enough for purpose to take root again. This is why simple daily rituals matter. A glass of water prepared with care. Not rushed, not automatic. A moment of intention that says, I am supplying my body with what it needs to function well today. That message compounds. The nervous system registers safety. The parasympathetic tone strengthens. Digestion improves. Nutrient absorption increases. One good signal amplifies the next. Over time, resilience replaces fear. Cold no longer feels like punishment, it feels like awakening. Heat becomes cleansing, not draining. Exercise becomes communication, not compensation. Fasting becomes clarity, not deprivation. Sleep becomes restoration, not escape. All of these hinge on the body's belief that resources will return. Hydration is the first promise you keep. Aging, reframed this way, is not an enemy. It is feedback. It tells you where signals have degraded, where support has thinned, where precision is required. And precision is learnable at any age. The body does not resent past neglect. It responds to present accuracy. This is the quiet power seniors often underestimate. You are not too late. Biology does not run on regret. It runs on chemistry, physics, and signals. Change the signals and outcomes shift, slowly at first, then unmistakably. Cells begin to repair DNA more efficiently. Proteostasis improves. Damaged proteins are cleared. Mitochondria divide and renew. These processes do not make headlines, but they make years, good years, years with strength in the hands, steadiness in the walk, clarity in the mind. Plain water kept you alive, but informed hydration can help you thrive, not by adding something exotic, but by restoring what time and modern living quietly removed: minerals, balance, electrical coherence. And when you give your body that coherence consistently, you step into a different relationship with aging, one where decline is not assumed, where adaptation remains possible, where each day becomes a negotiation you are equipped to win. Because longevity is not about cheating death, it is about earning life, cell by cell, choice by choice, until the very end, with strength, awareness, and the calm confidence of a body that finally understands what you've been trying to tell it all along.